Following on from the last video about emotionally smothering a child, in this video I describe what happens when intimacy or relationships get pushed away because so much has already been taken or expected emotionally in childhood that adult relationships become too much to bear. I am Deidré Wallace, a relationship and corporate therapist. The clue is always in the gaze. Point 21b. In usual and healthy situations, once a child is sufficiently grown up, a child would gradually leave home, starting, say, from going to college or university to moving out permanently, maybe getting married and possibly moving into their own home. However, in the case of emotionally smothered children, which I described in the previous video, point 21a, by the time the child is expected to leave home, it either can't, or if they do manage to leave, they run a mile to get away. Sadly, not every child escapes. Some find themselves far too emotionally entangled in the parental system of control that cutting the umbilical cord becomes too hard. This due to guilt and fear of hurting a parent and thereby losing their affection. The parent may actually count on this and may actually use it to their benefit, fearing loneliness, and so on. The result is that a child may stay at home for much longer than is necessary, using the excuse that the parent requires looking after. But the role of a child shouldn't be to emotionally mother a parent. Furthermore, caught up in this trap, these children often find it hard to develop a relationship of their own, fearing reprisals from a parent. This can cause resentment and anger, not only towards the parent, but towards themselves as well, for not having the courage to cut the ties and leave. For those who do manage to wrench themselves away and snap the umbilical cord, the result is often that they hardly ever return. How often have you heard parents say that they never hear from their children? This could not always be one of the reasons why. And some children can even flee abroad, causing traumatic isolation and loneliness for the parents. If a child does manage to leave home, yet remain emotionally tied to the parent, they may feel tremendous guilt and disloyalty for leaving a parent. Some parents could make their feelings of rejection or anger quite clear. In some cases, they could even resort to threats or further bullying to emotionally hang on to their child. And then any relationships or even a marriage to someone else may feel like a betrayal. My bachelor or spinster clients often admitted something else too, that they chose not to marry as a result of their families being too large and hence feeling claustrophobic, and in adulthood they needed to be free, either consciously or unconsciously. But usually it was because any emotional demands made or asked of them from a new partner would prove too difficult. It would remind them of the emotional smothering experienced in childhood. Consequently, they often prefer to remain single, and even if they do manage to keep a companion, it's at arm's length. Marriage is usually avoided at all costs, fearing what commitment may mean to the emotional well-being, unless that is, if they were to meet someone who is fiercely independent. Also, if one sibling passes away, a parent may focus on the other siblings, demanding they stay close, fearing that they too may die. And this can be very restricting for children, as they are expected to detail all their movements in order to appease the parents' concern, especially if they are already adults. And the surviving children may then find it hard to develop relationships of their own in order to protect the parent, in case their having a relationship represents or symbolizes a further loss. Sadly, another consequence of being an emotionally smothered child is that they will have learned to deal with loneliness and isolation. As a result, they may never feel the need to marry, even though they may crave intimacy and someone to care for them. If the smothering experience was excessive, this might never happen. They may try, but more often than not, they usually find themselves pushing people away and thereby struggling to maintain relationships. But then again, some may some may be attracted to older people who may be parents in their own right and who consciously or unconsciously represent the undemanding parent they never had. Now back to you. Did you experience this? Did you feel emotionally smothered as a child, and do you avoid relationships as a result? Or how has it affected you? Please do use your journal to write down what you may have experienced, as this will help you learn more about yourself. And do comment if you have any questions. Thank you.